Welcome guys. Now today we're in 4.3 in graphing equations in the standard form. Now the formula that you need to know for this lesson comes down to this. AX plus BY is equal to C, where the A and the B and the C are just coefficients, meaning that they are just numbers. But notice that the X and the Y, they have to be on the same side together. And that's basically it. Let's take a look at these two examples. Write two equations in the standard form that are equivalent to the given equation. So let's take a look at number one. We have is negative 6x minus 8y is equal to 4. Now on this one, we already have this equation in the standard form because we have the x and the y both on the same side. Notice that the a here is negative 6, the b is negative 8, and the c is just a 4. Now the only way that we are going to make two equations in the standard form equivalent, whatever I do on one side, I'm going to have to do it to the other. So to make it simple, the brand new equation, I can call this the second equation. Let's multiply everything by 2. So grabbing this whole thing, I'm going to multiply everything by a 2. So inside the parentheses, because all I'm trying to do here is create an equivalency. Okay, so 2 times negative 6x, that's negative 12x. 2 times negative 8y is negative 16y is equal to, then 2 times 4 is 8. And that's one equation that is equivalent. You can multiply any number you want, but whatever like you do on one side, you're going to have to do it to the other. So that's one example. Let's see, what about the third equation? What can we do here? So, what about we multiply by 1/2? That'll be a nice one to try. So everything from the inside, it's negative 6x minus 8y is equal to a 4. So I'm going to multiply everything by 1/2 to get a brand new equation. So what's a half of negative 6x? Well, it's negative 3x. Half of negative 8y, negative 4y is equal to, and half of 4 is a positive 2. And therefore, that's my other new equation. So the only way that I'm able to get to here is multiply this equation by 2. In order for me to get to this equation there, I need to multiply this whole entire thing by 1/2. And that's it. And you can multiply any number you want to. So you may pause the video and you may try number 2. Similar process as number 1. Moving on. Alright, we need to write an equation in the standard form of the line that passes through the given point and has the given slope. So, this is very, very similar on what we did on 4.1 and 4.2. So on this one, we have a 0, comma, negative 7. That's the point given with the slope of negative 3. So now, if you recall from 4.2, we learned of this equation called the point slope. Now the point slope is this. Y minus y1 is equal to m parentheses x minus x1. Where the x1 and the y1, they both come from the order pair that you have up here. Now remember, to get to this, you must do the opposite. And to get from here to there, you must do the opposite. So let's plug in the values that we know. So all we have is y. Now, we must get the opposite of this minus 1y. The minus 1y is going to be, that's a negative 7. So if I want to get this negative 7 in here, I must do the opposite. So what's the opposite of a negative 7? Positive 7. So it'll be y plus 7 is equal to my slope is -3, open parentheses, x. Now, over here, my x is a 0. Over here, I have a minus x. So what's the opposite of a 0? Well, it's still the same. So the opposite of a 0, I mean, we can just do -0 or +0, because 0 will be the neutral number. So now, in order for us to get this into the standard form, we must have the x and the y be on the same side. So let's solve. So anything outside a parenthesis, we must multiply. So I'm going to have to distribute the -3 into everything that is on the inside. So, -3 times x, that's simply -3x. -3 times 0, it's 0. So we don't write anything down. And we just bring everything else down. Y plus 7. Alright, now in order for me to get this into the standard form, which is in ax plus by is equal to c, I'm going to have to flip-flop. I'm going to move this -3x over here to my left, and then the +7 to my right side of the equal sign. So, to do this, how do I move this -3x over here? What's the inverse operation of that one? The opposite of a -3x is +3x. So now we have, let's write this over here, y plus 7 plus 3x is equal to 0 because there's nothing on the right side. Now, I need to get rid of this 7. Now, what's the inverse operation of a +7? -7. So the 7's cancel. So now we have is 3x. So write out the 3x first because the x comes first. Plus y is equal to 0 minus 7 is -7. And there you have it. 3x plus y is equal to -7. And that's number 4. You may pause the video and you may try number 5. Okay, moving on. The last 2 problems of the notes. Now, we need to write an equation in the standard form of the line shown. Now, on this one, luckily we are given a graph. Now, in order for us to write this into the standard form, it needs to be ax plus by is equal to c. Now, since we're given a graph, the first thing is first, we need to get this into point slope. Now, the point slope, remember, let me write this out real quick. Standard form, and then point slope. Something that we learned from 4.2. It's y minus y1 is equal to m parentheses x minus x1. Okay. In order for us to find the slope, we must apply rise over run since we're given a graph, which is good. So let's find the slope here. Our slope would be starting from the leftmost point at 1, 1, and we're going to end up at 2, 6. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all over 1. So my slope is 5 over 1, or simply 5. All right, now I'm going to pick a random point. It doesn't matter which one, because in order for us to solve for the point slope, you can pick any point that is on this line. Now, the easiest one that I would say is use 1, 1. You could use 2, 6. It'll still give you the same answer, but dealing with 1, 1, I believe it will be very, very simple. So we're going to use 1, 1 as our point for x1 and y1. So, using the point slope formula, we now have y. Now, it says minus 1y. Now, in order for us to go from here, from the point to the formula, we must do the opposite. So what's the opposite of a positive 1? Negative 1. There we go. It's equal to, my slope is 5, open parentheses, x. Now, in order for me to go from this x1 to the formula, I must do the opposite. So what's the opposite of a positive 1? Negative 1. And there we have it. Now we're almost done. Now if I were to ask, give it to me in point slope, this would have been it. But now we have to solve this to get it into the standard form. So distributed into everything inside, we now have is 5 times x is 5x, 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, and bringing everything else down. That's y minus 1. I'm going to get rid of this 5x to go over to my left side. So the inverse operation of a positive 5x will be negative 5x on both sides. The 5x cancel, so now we have is negative 5x plus y minus 1 is equal to negative 5. We must get the constants, which is the numbers without the letter, over to the right side. The inverse operation of a negative 1 is a positive 1. These cancel, so now we have this negative 5x plus y is equal to negative 5 plus 1 is a negative 4. And it looks like we are done because we have the x and the y on the same side. Now, rule of thumb, in the standard form, notice within the formula, in front of this x, that's a positive a. Now, in order for us to finish this off, the coefficient, which is the number in front of the x, always has to be a positive number. Everything else, like the b and the c, they can be negative. But we cannot have the a be a negative number. So, just like what I did, let me scroll up. Just like what I did up here on number 1 through 2, how I multiply to get an equivalency, that's sort of the same way on what I'm going to do here. Now, in order for me to change this negative 5 into a positive 5 by multiplying, what number do you think I need to multiply by? By a negative 1. In order for me to change this into a positive 5x, I need to multiply everything by a negative 1. Now, whatever I do on one side, I'm going to have to do it to the other to keep it equivalency. So, negative 1 times a negative 5, that's a positive 5x. Negative 1 times a positive y, negative y. Negative 1 times a negative 4, bringing down the equal sign, that's a positive 4. And therefore, you have your answer. 5x minus y is equal to 4. You may pause the video and you may try this problem here. And this problem is set up the same way as number 7. And this concludes 4.3.